Hey everybody, it's Rajesh here.
Intane here.
Welcome to our podcast, Baskets of Knowledge, Chats with a Difference. In our podcast, we invite guests from around the country and around the world to talk about how they got to where they're at the moment. It's about a journey, it's about an experience, it's about their life.
Yeah, everybody, welcome to another episode of Baskets of Knowledge. Once again, Tana is not here with us. He's away doing some pretty cool science things, as he does. And it is just me flying solo today. And today I'm really excited to have our guest. You may have heard of him or may not have heard of him. If you haven't, today you're going to hear more about him. This is someone that I've been following on the socials for a while. I came across him in one of my feeds. It's like, this is a very interesting human being. And I just enjoy what this person does as they go out there and they talk to people. But obviously, it's more than just about what they do online. It's about who they are as a person. But before we talk about that, I'm going to introduce Jasky Singh to our podcast, otherwise known as Pacific Khan. Welcome to Boss of Knowledge.
Thank you for having me, Prajesh. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, beauty. Jasky, people who know nothing about you, who are you today? On the 11th of September, which is quite an interesting date to have this episode as well.
I know. Two brown guys on 9/11. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, look, I'll try and be as quick as possible. Don't want to drag on any sort of background. Essentially, Indian migrant, moved to Australia at a very early age when my parents moved across and have lived here forever. So now obviously classify myself as Australian. And initially studied electrical engineering, computer science, because I was told by my parents I should have something serious to do in life. I knew I was never going to do it. I was never inclined to be that kind of a cubicle worker sort of personality. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I knew that wasn't going to be my thing. So then really just the rest of my life has been communication in all forms, meaning sales and presentations, did a lot of creative work like rapping and a lot of audio related creative stuff, which again, we can go into detail, but I'm trying to be as brief as I can. So the two sides of my life now look like private equity, which is businesses that we have either organically grown from the ground, grassroots up, or businesses we have acquired or taken over or had ownership in and improved in some manner, management, structure, efficiencies, models, and whatever. Generally sales, because that's really the thing that I'm very good at. Well, one thing that I'm personally good at, not very good at. It's a bit boastful. And then the other side, which people probably, know me really well from, is the street interviews. I guess we can say we are the most popular street interview channel, at least in Australia, if not in the world. And yeah, it was always an extension of stand-up comedy. I always wanted to do stand-up. It was a thing that freaked me out. I tried it, did it, and then I really wanted to improve my skill set. So we're like, let's film it, doing it in public, which is a weird idea, but it worked. And that became the thing that merged stand-up and also became a thing on its own that people enjoy. So that's as quick a summary as I can give you.
I love that because it's got your two worlds there. Most people only know you for your street comedy, but there's a lot more to you than the street comedy. As you spoke about before, the private equity, which people don't know about or don't see. So when I was doing my research, like, oh wait a minute, this is a whole different side that people don't actually know about. There's actually some real amazing things going on in the back end, which is actually who you are. But I guess my first question for you is as a brown person, and I ask this because recently there's some crazy. The world is going ballistic out there. Is it becoming harder for you to have those conversations on the street, or is it becoming easier because people recognize you?
Firstly, how dare you classify me as brown? I identify as white, so I'm really
sorry. It's my ratio, my computer. I apologize.
Yeah, you need to change your saturation. It's gone too far to the other side. I'm actually very white. No, so. Do you mean in terms of like, does it face backlash being a brown person?
The reason I asked the question is because recently, what happened here in New Zealand? I'll give you some context. In New Zealand, just recently, the New Zealand CEO is an Indian person, and the backlash was just crazy. And just because he was brown, and it was, hey, why are we hiring a brown person to lead to become a CEO? And as I'm seeing more of this rhetoric going out there as well, but it's not going out there; it's actually more. People are just saying it like if there's no consequence. And for someone like yourself who's out there in the public face, as you're talking to the whole range of people, do you find that people, we just see the snippets of things that go out there, and how do you find yourself as you adjust in this crazy world here?
No, look, it's a very, very good question. And I'll tell you a short story that probably kind of summarizes it really well. So we were just traveling just a few days ago, and I was in Adelaide, which is another part of Australia. We're based in Western Australia. So this is,
Yeah.
well, people call it the most boring part of Australia. But anyway, we were there. That's got nothing to do with the whole story. So I was just in the security check-in to get back on our flight to get back to Perth. And then this young Indian kid, I'm guessing his age. I didn't ask his age, but I'm guessing it'd be early 20s, maybe even late teens. He was a young kid. And he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, look, man, I love the stuff you do. I follow you, blah, blah, blah. Do you mind if I ask you a question?" I was like, "Yeah, of course, man. There's no problems." And he was like, "How do you feel with the whole rhetoric, the narrative around the negativity around Indians?" And he goes, "I always never really felt like I was Indian because he had a full Aussie accent. It wasn't like
Yeah.
he had, I mean, aside from looking at him, you might go, oh, he's obviously from that part of the world or his generation, previous generation, whatever. So he's fully, sounds like an Australian, right? And he was like, "Man, I never used to care, never used to really bother me. It was never a thing that even crossed my mind." But now he goes, "I feel," now I don't know what word he used, but some synonym of ashamed. "I feel ashamed of mentioning to people that I'm Indian." And uh, and he goes, "Because I feel like I see the expression in the face change." And it really saddened me that that's how a young kid is feeling, that like, oh, because he's not even Indian, he's actually an Australian guy, right?
Yeah.
Just because, whatever, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he feels embarrassed about saying that my family or whatever, we are origination or culturally Indian. And so basically what I told him is really how I answer this question. I just share that story because it showcases this. Even young kids are starting to have some weird uh, like disconnection from wanting to identify, feel like they are, Indian, or the word Indian has now got this weird negative connotation. So I told him, "Look, I'm not anyone to give anyone advice. I try not to give anyone advice because I'm mostly wrong. So I can only share my experience is that I came to Australia when I was the only brown kid in the entire school, right? And at that time, I was practicing Sikh, so I had the turban, beard. So, if you want to saw a thumb to stand out, I was the one, right? And I'm being brutally honest, from that point to now, I have never experienced racism, right? And I think it's just weirdly how it was from my mum. Like I feel like I've weirdly been conditioned to go, when someone is saying, you can always interpret it as racist or you can interpret it as something else, right?
Yeah.
And for some weird reason, I never interpret it as racist. So like you could, say if you were just a general, I don't know, like a hillbilly, rednecky kind of Aussie, and you just go to me and go, "Oh, you curry muncher." Now I could go, "Oh, that's really racist," or I could be like, "Yeah, man, you fucking Big Mac hamburger." I don't know. Like
Yeah.
you're like, is this banter? Is this racism? For me, always the coping mechanism and the way to respond was always, "Oh yeah, he's just trying to take some jibes at me and let's go." And so basically, I told him, I was like, "It sucks that you think that because there there's so much amazing positivity around being whichever part of the world you're from, right? Like there's so much cultural, so much historical and whatever. Like all those things are amazing. Like especially if we're talking about India, like there's just so many things that come from India that no other parts of the world have ever done. So it's beautiful. But thinking that now being Indian is a disadvantage, getting that in your head is not helping you, regardless
Yeah.
of what it is. Like it's not going to change anything. Like what are you going to do? What are you going to just now do whiteface and walk around and pretend no one notices you're Indian? Like if you do that, it doesn't help you. And secondly, I
Yeah.
don't think there is any negative. I get so much support from all parts of Australian, even international people that it could be white, purple, green, yellow, whatever the
Yeah.
person is. Complete support, just always positivity. Yeah, there's a ton of negativity, but again, I'm like, whatever. They don't like me. That's okay. It's that not everyone's going to like me. But anyway, this has gone very long. But all I'm really trying to say is, in the end, I think it's magnified by what we see online. In person, I never have experienced that level of hate. There are a few dickheads in the world. They're always going to
Yep.
exist.
Yep.
Fuck them. Like I can't explain any other way of doing it. Who cares? Like they're just
Yeah.
dickheads. But there is a little bit of like backlash around it. But I think it's very, very segmented to an audience that typically you should avoid anyway. They're not good people. They just have something wrong with themselves, so they're just using it as hatred. But I think be proud of where you're from. Like an Indian culture is incredible. Like I just think there's no other culture that I mean I am from that part of the world, so it's a bit biased, but yeah, be proud of it. And I think seeing online rhetoric that you feel like is ubiquitous, it's not.
Yep. Thank you. I love that because a lot of people just see the online and they just it's an echo chamber, right? People just see what they want to see and they just percolate those there. It's really quite funny. A bit of a similarity. I also did computer science, hated it, did not enjoy it. I did it because mom and dad said it's what you got to do. Do not do that at all. That's not what I do. And also I grew up in Africa and I grew up in Zimbabwe and my parents grew up in the apartheid regime and they were also told, hey, it's about your attitude to people can be racist, but it's your choice and whether you believe them or not. So it's I just wanted to say that because it's great you saying that actually doesn't actually matter what they're gonna think what they want to think. It's how you take it on. And if you go, it's up to you. Yeah, I'll just walk away, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, and I guess violence is a different thing. If it starts
Yeah.
to lead itself into violence, that's different. That's different. Whereas
Yeah.
I just think in most situations, labeling things too quickly doesn't benefit anybody, right? It doesn't benefit
Yeah.
because we don't know the other person's intention. And I think
Yep.
nowadays we're trying to create intention in the other person, which doesn't exist. Like I'm just now saying your intention was to be racist. Whereas sometimes some of the things I say to someone, they'll go, man, this guy must be really racist. But it's about tonality. It's about the
Yeah.
backstory. It's about context. It's about how your body, there's a lot of communication skills that go into delivering just the words.
Yeah.
And you don't know a person's intention. And if there is malice from that person, well, they shouldn't be doing it because they're
Uh,
just malicious. So, malicious people, if it extends into violence, then it's really bad. But
Difference. Yeah.
I mean, many years, the things that have been said, I just weirdly just think I've never really thought, that was racist. I just kind of was like, whatever, we're having a banter. So let's
Next time,
go.
yeah. Let's go. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
play. Let's play. I love what you said because I was into Trevor Noah's podcast yesterday, and the key word he said was context. Everything's context. And when you take away context, everything can just sound good or bad. No, actually, everything
Mm,
else sounds bad out of context. You
exactly.
know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you see someone who's lost a family member and they are, uh, you know, really, really depressed for years to come. And then you see another person, generally maybe similar circumstances, loses a family member and they use it as, okay, I'm going to use this as fuel to do something. So you can look any really bad situation and the perception is everything, or reaction to perception is everything.
Yeah, so true. I'm going to switch focus and talk using the word fuel. What was your fuel to go to street comedy? Because you were doing your engineering thing, quotation mark, and doing comedy, had your thing in Malaysia going. Street comedy in Perth. What was the driver to that there?
Well, I was doing stand up and I really struggled with crowd work when you kind of break the fourth wall and you're talking to the audience. And as soon as that would happen, there would be a heckler or there would be a situation which was difficult to navigate. I would just really, start to sweat and get uncomfortable in terms of what I'm supposed to respond with or keep my composure. It became really difficult. So I was like, I need to build on this skill, but you can't keep doing stand up crowd work at gigs where you're given an opportunity to perform. So you
Yeah.
can't just go and burn it and just start doing crowd work, which is like a tightrope walk for a show that they haven't really invested in. You have to be good at it, essentially. So me and my cameraman, now business partner slash producer, he's one of the best crowd work comedians. I would say near the top three in the country, and he's an incredibly talented comedian. He was like, man, we'll just find a place where there's an audience and you just try it. And then we said we'll film me trying it, which is walking up to a mall where there's a lot of people, and then building that skill. And by recording it, there's a bit of accountability as to how you've done, and you can watch the game tape back and improve. And that's kind of where it stemmed from. And it became incredibly popular. People really wanted to see that more than the stand up. So it just became the primary content thing.
Yeah. And has it surprised you how popular you've become? Are you surprised by, wow, people are just loving this content or taking to it?
Definitely. Like it blows my mind that like I'm in different parts of the world and people still come up and go, "Hey man, I watch your stuff." And I'm like, "What the hell? I'm in Japan. This is
Yeah.
insane." Right. So it's always mind blowing that this stupid thing that we just did because out of just our curiosity and interest and I've always had a curiosity for people. I think maybe that just is what relays into the content is that I'm really curious about talking to other people. But yeah, it blows my mind. Like you go into places and the people that it reaches and the positive response you get and to an extent you can actually do really cool shit that um there isn't the opportunity of doing in other forms, like
Yeah.
business and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really what's why I like watching your videos is people are just being real. As you see, everyone's got a story. There's no makeup. There's just them being them at that point in time, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. We try and keep it as raw,
Yeah.
unfiltered, and also it can be confronting because you're
Yeah.
having a conversation and then you watch it back and go, "Ah, I said that shit, fuck," and then now you're like stuck with the thing. But then I do the same to myself. I hold myself accountable. If I say something dumb, then that's just what
Yeah.
it is. But it's got to be raw, authentic, clear, just a conversation with someone. But also, it's got to be funny,
Yeah, totally.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
hard.
No, but it just comes so naturally with you, with the way you. But what I've noticed is you let the other people do all the talking, and you ask one question, and people just all talk. I was like, this is very clever.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm getting better, but it's been a lot of training, a lot of practice. I
No,
was not
beautiful.
naturally good at it. No.
Yeah. No, well, thank you. I mean, I do coaching as well in my as another gig, but I learned the art of questioning as you because the questioning is where you get the answers that people just have to talk. They just have to give them some
Yes.
space and they talk.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I think maybe people can take away to benefit themselves in a situation where there is high pressure or like uh uh what word am I trying to use? In a communication environment where there is some level of impromptu discussion that can have an impact in some way is I think the words we've heard this. I don't know. There's some stat. 87% of it is body language, right? Or whatever that stat is, and it's actually virtually the whole thing. That's the whole game.
Yeah.
I could say two different sentences to you, and depending on my body language, the words could be identical. Depending on my tonality, speed, volume, all of those things, it would have two very different outcomes. Like, if I give you an example, is if I go, Prajesh, fuck you, right? That's
Yeah.
oh, you're
Or
ready. You're charged, right?
yeah.
Or whereas I say, Prajesh, fuck you,
Yeah.
it's the same words and it's delivered with two different body languages, leaning in versus leaning back, bit of laugh. Like obviously I'm using the worst possible uh, two words to
Example,
use,
but
but it drives the home the message, right?
yeah,
Like
totally.
it's all about everything else, not the words.
Yeah, totally, totally. And that's really powerful. That's really, really important to remember. It's not the words that matter, it's the way the words are said. Again, context. Context
Yeah,
changes everything.
yeah.
The other thing, at the start, you spoke about all the things that you do. How do you balance your creative side with your entrepreneurial side? Because there's two sides to you. Because obviously, you can't be too creative, and your other side will just fall over. How do you
Yeah.
manage to balance that there and keep yourself sane, I guess?
Barely.
Yeah. Are you? I'm assuming you're saying sorry. That was an assumption.
Yeah, barely. Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Sometimes I think I've taken on too many things, and honestly, I think that my next step is to try and prioritize and limit the amount of demands that I'm kind of like not putting on myself. Like I get into it, it's voluntary. No one's asking me for it. Is just yeah, I'm very bad with prioritization. I think I just take on a lot of things, and then it's yeah, I'll just figure it out. But at the moment is probably the one time in life where I'm like, I need to cut some stuff back because
Yeah.
I'm not managing very effectively. Because also I've got two young kids, so there's a family component which takes a lot of time, and I don't want to compromise that for other stuff because it's a short-lived moment and they're already growing up. So yeah, I don't have an answer. I'm very bad at it.
But that's honesty, right? Because people think everyone's got a perfect everything sorted, but it's not really. It's you're living your life. And again, great segue into your family life because you're now a celebrity in inverted commas. Actually, you are. How does that interact with your family, especially a young family, and how do you protect them from? I use the word protect, but shield them from some of the things that are being said about you.
Yeah, it's a very good question. It Yeah, it's look, I probably am not anywhere near a level of celebrity where it gets invasive.
Yep.
So I can imagine where I can see it at times where this, like for example, if you walk through the shops and every 10 meters someone's coming up to you and you're with your kids, which has happened, and I'm like, imagine the scale of the next person who's actually
Yeah.
like a, I don't know, Shah Rukh Khan, or for example, him walking through anywhere would be outrageous. I can't even imagine that would be that would where you'd have to. I think it's like you've got baseline of where I am to like maybe Shah Rukh Khan level, and then there's like at that point you've already got structures in place. At my point, there's no structures because it's not
Yeah.
at that scale where I need the structures in place. The stuff that I worry about is saying or doing something that can potentially get the family involved. And the way I've done that is essentially, unless you go to LinkedIn or really are interested to know what I do for work, most people don't know. Most people think that's all I do is
Yep.
the street stuff. So I kind of keep the professional and street as detached as possible. And also, yeah, just with like family, there's no names, pictures, all of that kind of stuff. Addresses, mobiles, all those are disclosed. It's an undisclosed. And aside from that, if someone messes with your family, like we're ready. So
Yeah.
that's really what it is. I mean, I don't know. Like I don't
Yeah.
think I'm at that stage where it's like getting invasive, but you do get some crazies, man. Like
Yep.
I've already experienced some crazies where they'll just find where you are and they just come and see you. I'm like, I have
Yeah.
no idea how this guy knew where I was, which is wild. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
think as it gets bigger and wilder, then like someone like Mr. Beast. I remember listening to a podcast with him, and he's like, I have to have so many procedures in place just to go to an airport
yeah.
because it just shuts the whole place down.
Yeah. 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 Well, we'll know when we come to the airport in Perth and go shut down because here comes Mr. Kant. Step away. Step away.
Yeah, I doubt it. I
Yeah.
doubt that's ever going to happen.
Oh, funny. And have you had a comic that's been your inspiration, or have you just said this is my jam, or has someone been the person that you looked up to go, oh, this is really cool?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I used to watch a lot of stand-up comedians and then learn from them. One of the probably get the Mount Rushmore of the comedians for me would be Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, Andrew Schultz, and yeah, there's probably like a list of other fringe ones, but those are the three that again, I think everyone's got Dave Chappelle on their list, but that's just because of his longevity and the fact that he can still do comedy. There were some people that I used to really, really like Jim Jeffries and other Australian comedians that Ronnie Chang and whatever they got the global scale. But I feel like other things move them away
Yep.
from what they really were good at, and then it just dilutes the original thing that made them amazing. So nothing against them, but I've lost interest in their comedy because I just don't think that's their primary focus. But yeah, those would be the top three.
Yeah. And the one thing I noticed is you're a bit like Steve Jobs. You wear the same thing all the time. Is that on purpose with the black? I'm wearing black as well. Is that your persona?
That's a high praise, man. I wish I was anything
Yeah.
like Steve Jobs. It is. It's more, yeah. I think I got it borrowed from some podcast many years ago. It's like find the things that you can just wear repeatedly, so you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
So I think for probably 10, 15 years, I've worn the same stuff. Like it will be jeans and a black t-shirt, and that's it. And I've got like 50 of the same.
Just makes life easy, doesn't it? It's your uniform. Done. Happy days.
100%. You don't have to worry about it if I'm going to a formal thing, if I'm going to a casual thing, and the spectrum is how new is that t-shirt that I can wear depending on the event. So if it's a really important event, the t-shirt's got to be on the newer side of the spectrum. If it's just a more casual thing, it can be on the other side of
Yep.
it. That's it. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. It's so easy. We don't have a lot of time left, but one thing I do want to touch on, which I really got to, was the fact that you are giving back into education, the K-12 education stuff. Where does that come from? Because
Yep.
that is really beautiful. Because I have an education background, I was like, this is really cool what you're doing in that space there.
No, I really, yeah, I've always wanted to do it is because where I'm sitting right now is in the offices of our education, well, now not only education, but it was an education primary business, which is like a lot of the interactive
Yeah.
conferencing solutions. Like I'll just swing it around a little bit so you can see. Uh, so that business it's called K2 Audiovisual, which which was a first business that allowed us to build the private equity a portfolio or business and whatever. And we've always wanted to do the actual like teaching education side as
Yeah.
well. And we never found the right person to do it. And unfortunately, we did find her, and then she got really unwell and actually passed away, which is
Oh no,
incredibly
sorry about
sad.
that. Yeah.
It was over a very short period, so that really affected all of us. So yeah, it is something we've always wanted to do, and I think the thing that I've started to weirdly realize, which I probably knew, but I was trying to avoid it because now it's going to add more workload to an already like a challenging workload, is doing all of the tutoring or the one-to-one group one-to-many support in a group setting. If I feel like what people really want is more of the soft skills
Yeah.
training as
Yeah.
adults, as university students, as professionals. And it is something I've studied for my entire life, and I keep getting more requests for it. And then I'm like, that is probably the thing that I need to build out, because that's what people don't have as much support for at the moment. It's not taught in schools. There's
Yeah.
not really that many great resources. Obviously, you can read and learn, but someone who's potentially practiced it for nearly 20 years, I'm like, I'm sure I can help a lot of these people in some way. I just don't know how I do it without it adding more
More.
of me needing to do the thing,
Yeah.
which I'm trying to figure out, because it seems like
Yeah.
that's where a lot of the help is required, and that's where you can have a massive impact with the world of AI coming in.
Yeah.
Communication is everything, because
Yeah.
one-to-one communication, being able to talk to someone, using your words, your body language, your communication skills to open doors, to transform your life essentially. Because it's done it for me. I'm sure it's done it for
Yeah.
you. Like, you
100%.
can be
100%.
able to communicate, change everything. So yeah, I mean, it is something we've always wanted to do. We are doing it, but I feel like there's going to be a prioritization of trying to roll that out to some extent,
Yeah.
because people need it. And I don't
Yeah.
know where the other resources are.
You're so right, because I don't know if you saw a study that came out yesterday from Harvard, basically saying that AI is now being used as companionship because people don't know how to communicate with humans. So they prompt chat, and it's increasing. So it's not about, business, it's about, hey, ChatGPT, let's have a relationship conversation. And this is exactly what you're saying. We've got to change that whole aspect. But we don't know, you
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, I can't see the future. I don't know what the future holds. No one knew AI was coming, but I just think if you look at the thing that's going to still be the most valued in a world where most things AI is going to be able to do better than us is uh, verbal communication or
Yeah.
in-person communication, like in-person events, in-person gatherings, in one-to-one real. I don't know. Maybe we'll have earpieces and AI will help us do the words or whatever. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I think that's just so important, and people feel it, and they're like, "Ah, I don't know where I can learn this."
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I do think that's something I would like to do.
Yeah. That's very powerful because communication is key. Looking into people's eyes is so hard to do, but so powerful when you can do that there.
Yeah,
Just give
yeah,
um,
exactly.
I know your time is going to be up. I just have one more
That's okay,
question.
man. We can go another 10 minutes if you like. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, no
oh, sure.
problems.
Oh, you
Yep.
sure. Oh, no, you're beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Of course.
I just love that because I'm in education. I see young people who don't communicate or choose not to communicate. And I'll tell you the biggest travesty is when you walk into schools and you see people on their phones at break time and not running around and playing. So when I hear what you're saying, I'm like, with whatever it looks like in the future, it's going to be better for humanity if we can do that there. Because if we don't, then these things take over and we lose who we are. And you can't do what you're doing on the street, or people can't do that anymore because you're not talking to each other.
Mm, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So are you wondering what we should do?
So
Is that?
yeah, what I'm thinking is, as you think about your 20 years of seeing all the things that you're doing, and you're watching as you see how people, using these more or not these more, how do you see things like comedy coming into place and actually getting people away? So actually, we can actually go and have fun without things being serious and having to just rely on devices.
Mm, yeah, I haven't thought of that. That's yeah. I think I if you look at like historically, humans have always, it's like an inbuilt evolutionary thing where sometimes certain words I say, like actions I make with my mouth and say these certain words, and you involuntarily start laughing.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing where it's like, okay, that's built in for a reason, you would imagine. Like, why is it that I say something now and you can't control yourself but to go, like
Yeah.
it's crazy, right? Like it just makes you think, all right, evolutionarily, that's got to be important to humans. What is the importance? We all know. Like you go to a comedy show, you just feel better. You feel
Yeah.
relaxed. You feel like you feel connected. If you're in a group of, yeah, there's nothing like a live comedy room of about 150, 200 people. That's kind of the right size. And you're all in this tight knit space with rows of seating. And just the fact that someone has just been on stage, all they got is this, a microphone, mic stand, and they're just saying stuff. And everyone's in hypnotism of laughter. I don't think that can go away. Like that's just built in. And even if you look at comments on most videos, it's just someone saying the funniest shit.
Yeah.
And we laugh. We really go, oh man, that just makes you laugh. So if that, is this is the thing, like AI kind of is this weird concerning thing, which I've never felt in the past. It's like, I'm like, you got to spend 3 to 5 years to get any sort of business, any real momentum
Yeah.
and any real foundation. And now it's like, do you spend those 3, 5 years and you set up a dope accounting practice that in 5 years is worth nothing because AI
Yeah.
can just do it. And but at the same time, it's like you can't think of what the future is going to hold. You've got to just go with your instincts of what you can do the best, merge with your strengths and what you feel
Yeah.
like the world needs from you. And that's why I was talking about the soft skills thing, because I'm like that. I feel like that's what I can deliver to the world to some extent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think comedy. I don't think a lot of the interactions one to one will decrease. People always say, younger kids are getting worse at communicating in person. I don't really see that. There are a lot that are maybe chronically online, whereas the general young person loves a bit of laughter, loves a bit of
Yeah.
communication. They love to get amongst the banter, and I've met many of them. And I don't know if it's gotten worse. I think they just they just need a bit of training to be better at it. But I think they're yeah, I think it's going to be the most important thing, really. So I hope it
Yeah.
stays.
Yeah. And you're so true because lots of young people now, I work with lots of 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and they're so aware and they're so confident. I was like, when I was 16, there was no way I was at a conference. No way. I was one of my friends says when he was 16, he was either eating pies or chasing girls. That's it. That was it. That was his life. And I was like, yeah, this is very true.
Yeah, sounds like my
Yeah.
life. Yep.
Yeah. So true. Um, Last question for you, Jasky. This podcast is called Baskets of Knowledge, and every guest we have on, we invite them to share a piece of knowledge to put into our basket. You've shared quite a few things from your life experience, but is there one piece of knowledge you'd like to share with myself and our listeners from your world of any part of your world about business knowledge, comedy, anything?
Yes, yes. I think the thing that it's kind of the best way for me to answer this question is to go back and go, hey, let me go 10 to 15 years prior and what would I tell myself? Because that, even though that's such a standard question, it makes you reflect on what have you learned that's probably the most important that you could pass on earlier. Not that I would do the butterfly effect and change something because I'm very happy with the things that I learned, but I think the one the one thing that I used to hesitate on, I always felt I knew my strength. I knew the thing that I was, it's going to sound really fluffy, destined to do, but I always fought against it because it wasn't the societally normal thing to do,
Yeah.
especially with the sacrifices my parents had made to come to this country and give us all the opportunities that we would not have had we still been in India or another part of the world. I was like, oh, I better at least be sensible. But deep down, you kind of know. So easier way to explain this is shoot as many shots as you can and you'll know intuitively when something sticks. Like sticks in the sense you'll get some confirmation from the world that maybe you're on the right path. You'll get some internal confirmation where, yeah, this just feels right. Like this feels like what I should be doing. Like it was when I started doing sales, like cold calls. I was like, fuck, people hate this, but I love this. What the fuck is this? It's weird. And you get confirmation. People are responding. It's like, well, that person next to me is doing it. They can't get the response. So there's real world validation. Whereas there's internal validation. You're like, I like this. And it's always about doing the thing, then you know what you're strong at. And I think if you take enough shots, you realize I'm good at this. And if I'm good at something, I'll get the validation to start to enjoy it, as opposed to going, what am I passionate about? Because passion it's not monetizable many times. And like in world, we need something that merges with the market, right? So yeah, long-winded answer, but I'll summarize it, is take a lot of shots, understand the thing that you feel that connection with the world with, and then just trust yourself. Because why live a life where at the end of it, you're like, what the hell did I just, nothing against accountants, but it's the first thing that comes to mind. It's like, I just did accounting for 30 years and now I fucking hate my life. Like, what's the point?
Yeah. I love that, trust yourself. And how many, it's important. How many of us don't do that because we live in the society's world? Society says do this, play safe. But hey, trust yourself, take those shots and see what happens. Beautiful.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. What a great way to end the podcast. Any last words before I say goodbye to you? And thank you for your time.
The only thing I want to say is you ask really good questions. You're very, very thoughtful. You've come with questions that I haven't, thought of, and it's actually given me a little bit more clarity on some of the things which I haven't deeply sat down and really, tried to articulate. So yeah, kudos to you. You ask good questions. You're good at what you do. So I've enjoyed it. I wish
thank
we
you.
had more time, because I would have learned more just by answering the questions.
We've got to come back again. But thank you so much for jumping on. And again, what I love about today's episode is the person behind the person. We see one person, and as you said before, when I jumped on to look out more for you, I went to your LinkedIn and I was like, oh, this is not the person that I thought I knew. And this is where I was like mind blown. So really beautiful. So thank you for sharing that there. And thank you for being authentically yourself. And for our listeners out there, hopefully you learned something today. If you haven't learned something, it's because you fell asleep. Wake up again and go and have a listen, because this is a great podcast. Thank you for your time, and we'll speak soon, I hope. Thanks, Jasky.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, we'll do it again. Thank you.
Right,
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Baskets of Knowledge.
Yeah, we hope that you found something useful to put into your basket of knowledge. And as we said before, remember to put something little into your baskets of knowledge every week. And as always, feel free to like, comment, and share this podcast. Thanks, everybody. Bye.